Mr. Stroop deserves full credit for this. Uh, the governor was a great catch for our class. It's hard to get him; he's busy. But this next guest is even busier. Now, some of you may remember that a certain individual sent out some nasty tweets about me earlier in the semester. Not that I would ever remember that or care. I wouldn't even bring them up, except I've done it. And anyway, really nasty tweets. And it turns out, for various reasons, once contacted, he wanted to apologize. And he's decided, if we've got him on the line, to do this live. And so, ladies and gentlemen, here's the 45th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump. Mr. Trump, are you with us?
That is me. Hello, hello. I'm not going to lie, we're not so happy to see you, but okay, we can still do this.
Well, Mr. President, I'm happy to see you, and I want you to know that I didn't mean any of the nasty things that I've said about you, except for 99% of them. But I just want to say thank you for taking time out. I understand that the reporters like John Carl, Anna Carl's father, are waiting right now in the press room, and they can wait for as long as you want to take with us, because we appreciate this. Now, what about those nasty tweets that you sent out about me?
Well, the problem is that sometimes elite academics like you, who, believe me, I went to a very elite school, so I'm not impressed by you, but you tend to act very tough on Twitter, and I feel like it's very necessary to send out a strong and very tough message at you to let you know that you're not going to bully me around just because I'm a humble president of the United States. Somebody stood up for the president.
We've noticed how humble you are, Mr. President, no question about that. But I was told that you wanted to talk to us and me directly in order to apologize. Is that miscommunication, or maybe somebody you need to fire?
Well, I mean, we're definitely going to have to fire somebody, because there's no apology. There's no apology that needs to be given. You were rude. You were rude to me. I'm waiting on your apology. I actually showed up saying, if they're willing to be nice and offer like a nice apology, then I might be willing to talk to some of the people who didn't get into the University of Pennsylvania.
Well, this is the University of Virginia, Mr. President. But that's close, because both of them are East Coast states. And I want to give you every benefit of the doubt. I want to be nice.
No, what I'm saying, you don't understand. I'm saying that they couldn't get into my school. So I'm coming, as it's like a nice thing. I'm coming and saying safety schools are okay too. So we're happy. We want all votes, not just elite schools, but also those that are not as like elite as University of Pennsylvania.
Well, you know what? I think you just won the vote of everybody here. The thing they wanted to hear most was you to run down the University of Virginia, and you've done it. I salute you, sir.
Well, finally, some respect.
Yeah, I'm not in the respect business, Mr. President. I've told a lot of politicians that over the years. That's somebody else's job. I'm not in the respect business. That's called tenure. It's what you don't have, and what you may find on November 3rd. It's all over. Possible.
Well, you know what? I'm sure that's what you're hoping, and maybe some of your weaker students are hoping for that as well. But the truth is, we're going for FDR's record, okay? We're not going for like anybody can do 2 terms. We're looking for like the 4 terms, but like, not dying during the 4th term. So we're going to pass FDR's. That's the goal.
Well, I can believe it, especially if you're counting the substitutions of Donald Jr., Eric, Ivanka, and Jared. I guess they're all in line, right, to succeed you.
Don Jr. and Ivanka for sure. I don't know who this Eric person is you're speaking of, but maybe he's a quality individual. We'll see.
He runs a winery down here, Mr. President, in the Charlottesville area. Believe it or not, he does. It's called the Trump Winery. I thought you might have heard of it.
Well, no, I'm very aware of the great Trump Winery, and great wines, probably the best. And once again, I thought it would be nice. I don't have like one of my great properties in Virginia, but I thought it would be nice to give you guys like something. It's like something, So it's, it's called a consolation prize. If you can't have Mar-a-Lago or Trump Tower, you get, and it's fair that the liberal like you would get a winery, because it's the wine, get it with the, it's
Yes.
like another word for wine.
Yes. Do you want some cheese with that wine? That's great.
No, I'm okay. No cheese.
Yeah,
Thank you.
no. You don't drink, Mr. President. That's one of the few things I salute you for. You don't drink and you don't smoke. And so
Very healthy.
very
Very
healthy.
strong health.
And
That's why I'm here at McDonald's. I plan on getting we're going to see if they can give me a McRib. I know it's not like technically on the menu right now. It's a limited, but I'm the president, so they should be able to get it.
Absolutely. I hope so. And then you can have your usual 2 scoops of ice cream. Remember, it's not 1 scoop. Because you're president, you get 2 scoops of ice cream.
It's called modern presidential.
Yes. Mr. Stroop, I want your help here. This gentleman is pretty remarkable, and if you're listening to his voice, I think it's easy to understand why I mistook him for the 45th president of the United States. I hope none of you would hold that against me. Probably some of them will, and we'll read about it in course evaluations, but that's okay. But the president himself, this may surprise you, former lawyer, current lawyer, I guess he's been a lawyer, legal training, and you went to class, unlike Governor McCollum. The comedian's name right before you is J.L. Cavan. Did I pronounce that correctly?
You did. Thank you very much.
Thank you. My name is Sabato.
Right.
Sabato, just to make sure we're on equal ground here. We have seen him. He has some wonderful features on YouTube, and he's been on all kinds of TV shows. I'm sure you've come across him. But Mr. Stroop is going to send out a selection of his YouTube hits, the greatest hits after this is over. But I'm going to ask you in your role as President Trump a few questions, and then I'll open it up to the students. Mr. President, can you give us an update on the pandemic? You really seem to enjoy talking at these daily briefings.
Well, it's important because the fake news is always trying to distort the great things that I say and the strong things that we're doing. And so I enjoy that because I know I'm speaking directly to the people, the great people who elected me. So it's going very well, I would say very strongly. The pandemic, we're going to defeat it. We're going to defeat it at some point. I guarantee it. I don't care how many Americans have to die. It's a sacrifice I'm willing to make. We're going to stop it. Even if I'm the last man standing, we will not lose to the coronavirus, or as I call it, the invisible enemy, trademark pending.
I believe you, Mr. President. We will defeat the coronavirus. No question about it. No matter how many Americans die. I think that you made that very clear.
There is no cost too high for me.
Yes.
For other people.
Other people. Exactly. How do you think Dr. Fauci and Vice President Pence and others on your team are doing? Do you get good information from them so that you can make good decisions?
Fauci is a little bit of a showboat. He's obviously a talented doctor. He's got the training, the medical training. But I had an uncle who taught at MIT. So I don't need as much of the medical training because I sort of have science in my blood. And so he can do it one way and I can do it my way, and we try to meet in the middle. Pence is working so hard. I didn't know this guy could work that hard. But he's putting in, last week he worked almost 40 hours. And I was like, what, are you a machine, Mike? When are you going to take a nap? It's unbelievable what this guy's doing. So we've got a great team. We're all getting along. We all share great ideas. And, and then we have hydrochloroquine parties afterwards, and we all take that, and it's a great thing. It's a beautiful thing for the country.
No heart attacks yet?
No, there've been a couple, but can't make an omelet without breaking some, deputy secretaries of Homeland Security.
Well, that's it's a sacrifice they're probably proud to make. Posthumously, you can give them the Medal of Freedom, perhaps.
Well, right after Rush Limbaugh, of course. I want to give him another one, actually, because he's been so strong. He's been so great through this, So yeah, but that's a good idea. We like that. That's a good idea.
There you go. I hope that you think a little better of me now, Mr. President, giving you positive ideas.
Well, that, you know what, that's why we have to be together on the
Yes,
COVID. We have
together.
to. You can't reject any ideas just because they come from, extra liberal people who are super wrong most of the time.
And who don't understand the Trump base.
Well, the Trump base it's a very strong base. It's very strong.
It is strong. Okay. Now, Mr. President, you said you wanted to reopen the country by Easter. Well, Easter's passed. It didn't happen.
Well,
So what happened?
well, you know what? That's the thing. That's more fake news that you're listening to, because we've been talking to great faith leaders. Okay, like all the great faiths, strong leaders. We've talked to the Pope, and we've talked to Joel Osteen down in Houston. All the great faith leaders, and we are
Buddha?
going to try and
Buddha?
move Easter. Who?
Buddha? I was wondering if you talked to Buddha.
Mike Pompeo? No, we haven't talked to him. But we are talking to all the great faith leaders, and we're going to move Easter. I know some people think it already happened. We've actually moved Easter to mid-July. So we're going to have a 4th of July celebration, which is a great thing for the country. And then we're going to celebrate Jesus's birthday, which of course is Easter. And we're going to do that after the 4th of July. So it's like technically we might actually still be open we're calling it New Easter.
What about, are you giving up your parade, sir? The July 4th parade to celebrate the presidency of Donald Trump? Is that gone too?
That is the one thing it's been deemed. You know how they have essential businesses? That's been deemed by our government, our great government, an essential parade. So it cannot be stopped. No matter how sick people are, that is the one thing we will definitely have. Believe me.
I hope everybody's been taking notes so that we know what's going to be happening. Because there's one thing we've learned: we can count on your word. Whatever you say goes.
My word is my gold bonds powder.
Yes, I use that myself. Thank you. Look, the way the media is covering the way you're handling the pandemic, who's doing the best job in the media covering you? Who's doing the worst job? And keep in mind that ABC White House correspondent John Carl's daughter is in this group, in case you want to mention him.
Well, I wish you hadn't mentioned him, because ABC is one of the leading fake news perpetrators. So I would ask that if you put this out as a video, that you delete that name, because he's a showboat and he doesn't need any more coverage. The great coverage. And, I've been having some problems with Fox News recently.
Yes.
Because it turns out they employ at least one journalist who doesn't like me, and it's disgusting. So I am now a huge fan of, they're called OAN, One America News, and they're great. They are tremendous. It's as if somebody hired all of Ivanka's dumb friends from high school, put them on a news network, and then they just kiss my butt during like an hour-long press conference. They're the greatest news network I've ever seen. So much talent.
Yeah, it's too bad you can't put them on The Apprentice, but you don't run that show anymore.
Well, we're going to see. Second term, we may actually do an apprentice from the White House.
And third term too, I'm sure. It's going to go on forever.
If it's successful, which of course it should be, we're going to do, we're going to see. We'll see what happens.
All right. By the way, you've got your red MAGA hat on, Make America Great Again. How do you decide whether to wear your red MAGA hat or your white MAGA hat?
Probably the best question you've asked today. That is actually, I will give you credit. That is a strong question.
Thank you, sir.
White MAGA hat is like happy events. Okay. Happy events like golf Saturday, Jeff Epstein yacht party. These are like happy white hat events. Red hat, and I came here to do battle with you because of all the nasty things you've said. Red hat is like coming to do battle Trump. Okay. It's rally Trump. It's ready to fight. Trump the fighter. So when you see the red hat, it's like a bull, except I'm also seeing red. So it's as if the bull is wearing a red MAGA hat and sees it in a mirror and gets mad.
Am I in the category of, if some of your followers come and try and beat me up, you will cover their legal bills?
I will not only cover their legal bills, I will pay them a separate stimulus fund for the remainder of the year. So when they get out of jail, they will have extra funds as a reward. But we respect you. We respect you, and it's okay. We're not gonna. We hopefully won't have to do that.
Uh, by the way, how much of the stimulus funds that have just been passed, the trillions, how much of them are reserved for Trump businesses?
Well, you know what? None so far, but there's flexibility there, and obviously that we have hotels and we have tourism and we have Jared Kushner's failed business empire. So like all those things are essential businesses that we'll have to prop up. So at some point we're going to have to take out some of that money, and I think, but we haven't. Steve Mnuchin is a very fair guy and very objective. So I'm sure if he sees that the Trump businesses have a great need, okay, it's called a great need, then I think he will see fit to maybe fulfill that need. And if that happens, then that's just fair.
Absolutely. Well, more money to go to McDonald's. That's one thing.
Great American business. They are feeding
It
us.
is.
And people often ask, they say, why haven't you gotten sick from the corona? And I say, when you eat McDonald's 17 meals per week for decades, you are stronger than any virus that can come near you. Like the coronavirus sees me and it runs away. It says we have to find somebody weaker because this guy's eating the coronavirus like for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So let's find somebody weaker, like like a Olympic athlete, somebody whose system is not as strong as the president's.
So, in other words, this is very interesting. You're telling me that eating McDonald's is even better than that malaria drug that caused heart attacks.
It's even better. The Super Size Me movie. I don't know if you remember this movie a while back. This guy, very weak guy, ate McDonald's for like 30 days and was like totally a disaster.
Yes.
Fake news. That was maybe the original fake news. Look at me. I'm the president and all I eat is McDonald's. So maybe it's his fault. Maybe he shouldn't eat McDonald's, but I can.
Well, I don't even want to tell you, Mr. President, I'm a vegetarian. And
no,
that explains a lot, doesn't it?
Well, it really, I'm glad you said that. It really does. I could tell from sort of the weak democratic energy that you have that it was very plant-based. I think that's the term. A lot of them say plant-based. So yes. Yeah, you definitely have plant-based energy. If it's not good.
I do feel weak. You're absolutely correct, Mr. President. Look, can you give us an update on your re-election campaign? Are you at all worried about Joe Biden?
Sleepy Joe does not worry me. I think he is, first of all, he doesn't have the press conferences I do, so we're dominating the media. He doesn't have great Facebook money like I do. I have tremendous Facebook money. So we're doing great things on YouTube and Facebook, whereas I think Joe Biden is still, probably putting out like flyers in the Sunday newspaper. He's really not up to modern kind of advertising. And, he's sort of I think he's a weak candidate. I don't think people are passionate about him. So I think we're going to win even more big league than we did in 2016.
I've never seen Joe Biden at a McDonald's. I think you can use that on the campaign trail.
I think it's a sign that he hates America.
That will be in the ads. I'm absolutely sure.
He probably goes to Burger King, which I think is like a British company. We're going to run ads showing him with like, a lot of people from England. Maybe he wants to be in the other side of the revolution.
Look, you've got a lot of extra time right now because you can't do your rallies. And I know you've got 1,000 pressing big world decisions to make, but I'm not going to ask you about those because I think you probably spend more time watching TV. Do you have any good TV recommendations for us?
I would say there are two TV shows that I've watched because a lot of people don't know this. I finished Netflix. Remember during the government shutdown, I actually just stayed up having Diet Coke and I made it through the entire library of Netflix. So a show that was recently on, Ozark. Love that show because I feel like every single person on that show is a Trump voter. And then I saw Tiger King. Everybody's talking about Tiger King. And we're in talks because a lot of people say, oh, you're going to replace Pence on the ticket. And the two people I've been thinking about replacing him with, one is Nikki Haley, okay, talented woman of color, as they say, woman of color. And, that would probably impress a lot of people. And Joe Exotic. We might be doing a pardon, and maybe we can get Joe Exotic on the ticket because he's a very sort of strong conservative, but, with kind of an LGBT outreach. So it's kind of a win-win. So we'll see. We'll see what happens, but that's what we're looking at. But I loved Tiger King was a great show, and Ozark. I like shows that are like my base. I like seeing my base on the shows that I watch.
I think you made a good choice there. I haven't seen much of the Tiger show, but what I've seen of it suggests to me that your base watches that to a man and woman. No question about it.
They do. I'm sure and it's to them. I mean, it's, to them, it's probably like a serious drama.
I'm also glad you recognize that Mike Pence is weak. I think he's plant-based. I've suspected him of being a vegetarian.
Well, I think he tries to eat, beef just to sort of, he's from Indiana. So I think he does it for political reasons. But I think, he calls his wife mother. That's sort of de facto, if I can use a great legal term, de facto. I think that's like very weak. Like that's like the definition of weak is to call your wife mother. Like, so, it's like having the guy from Psycho. It's like I sometimes expect him to walk into the shower while I'm in there and stab me because it's like this guy has a creepy mother thing going.
Did you call, this is personal, maybe you don't want to answer, but did you call any of your 3 wives or 100 mistresses mother? I'm just wondering.
No, but I do find it enjoyable when Ivanka calls me daddy. So I don't know what you want to do with that, but I do enjoy that. That's a nice thing.
Given their ages, we're going to skip right over that. But Mr. President, I'm going to open this up to the students, but I'm also going to, as we do that, give them your alter ego and give them a little resume of what your other life is like. You've got so much extra time. You're 2 different people.
Who's that? Is that John Barron, my publicist?
Yes. One of several different Trump names over the years. Absolutely. Anyway, let me give your other resume, and then we're going to open it up to students to ask you either about your imitative business or your real life. And you go, I think, by JL. Koban,
yes.
JL.
Yep.
I'm going to call you JL.
Yep, that works.
You can call me LJ. We can go ahead and make this an equal thing. You've got to be the most popular comedian on the planet these days. Over the last several weeks, the Trump impersonation that you do has gone viral and has been viewed by millions and millions of people. I don't know how many of the students in this class have viewed it, but it will be on the final exam. So you'd better do it. Let me encourage you to visit him and support his work, buy his albums, and encourage others to do the same. It'd be a great July 4th gift.
That's right.
To match the parade, the Trump
parade,
parade,
and then New Easter.
Yes, a New Easter. He's in a long and very fine tradition of presidential mimicry. See, I'm actually older than you, Mr. President. I'm considerably older. And I remember Von Meter. I'm sure you've read of him. You're too young, but the JFK impersonator who did the album The First Family. In fact, I have that up on the walls of Pavilion 4 right here. And it was a big seller, and almost everybody had that album. And people thought that Kennedy might not like it. And he was asked about it at a press conference. And he said, I think it's interesting, but I swear it sounds a lot more like Teddy than me. And so you diffuse things with self-deprecating humor, something that the other Trump, not you,
right,
doesn't understand at all. And there have been others. Rich Little, who did Richard Nixon and a number of other presidents. Alec Baldwin, who's kind of your substitute. when you're not available, as I
Yeah,
understand.
exactly.
Yeah.
I've been very, it was nice that he could get that opportunity as like an unknown struggling actor, that like SNL would give him that shot for him to finally get a little spotlight on his life and career. It was nice. It's good to see a young actor just get that break.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Although I hope you'll take it back, because to be honest, you're a lot better.
no,
You're a
I'd be
lot
nice,
better
but
than
you
Alec
know,
Baldwin.
we'll see.
Okay, we're pulling for you.
Thank
Now,
you.
this helps to do Donald Trump. You're a native of the Bronx, right?
Yes.
Boom. That's it. Because everybody from the Bronx sounds alike anyway.
I don't really have like a super strong New York accent. I think it comes from my mom is a native New Yorker and my father was a Haitian immigrant. And I feel like most of my life I didn't have a super strong regional dialect, because I think probably I was getting so many different influences that my accent mostly stayed down the middle.
Well, you're suggesting to me that half of you is banned.
Right. I come from I have S-hole origins, according to this president. And then I like it when people say, why don't you like Trump? Why is it so? And I'm like, well, I don't know. What would you say if somebody walked up to you and called your father's country of origin an S-hole? You might not like that either, especially if they were the president, when they were supposed to not say things like that as part of their job. But anyway.
That's what I felt about your tweets, Mr. Trump. Anyway, JL received his BA in history from Williams College, which is a great liberal arts college, and his JD from Georgetown University. I mean, maybe you knew Terry McAuliffe, but he didn't go to any of the classes. I doubt you did.
And I miss Tiffany Trump also.
You went
several
to
years
after
No, I'm saying several years after me.
Oh, after
Tiffany
you.
Trump.
Okay. I didn't think you were that young. But,
no, 40. So class of 04.
Oh my God, you're young. I don't want to hear about it. I'm closer to double your age. Anyway, you actually started your legal career as a prosecutor in New York, which is useful, because after the Trump administration is over, maybe you can go to work prosecuting. There's a lot to be done.
There is. That'd be nice.
You started performing stand-up in law school. I guess it helped to pay your way through law school.
Oh, no way. There's no money. There is no money. There is no money in stand-up comedy. Stand-up comedy is basically like you run the same financial principles as Amazon. You just keep pouring money back into the business, but your stock price never rises and you never see the black.
I'm sorry to hear that. Well, that's why every single one of these students is going to buy your albums. We're going to check.
Yeah, that was my charity play. It's like, don't give face masks to medical personnel. Buy this struggling comedian's album.
Absolutely. Mr. Stroop, we've got our Center for Politics Christmas gift already picked out for everybody. The people who like Trump will love your album. They won't understand it. A
lot of Trump fans have been getting angry at me on Twitter, because it's almost like when they see me post a tweet that isn't in character and I say something about like this guy is not a good president. I'll keep it very clean and simple. And they'll go, hey, why are you getting political? And everybody will be like, did you not watch his videos? They're like, yeah, it was funny, but it was fun. And I was like, there was some truth in that satire. It's not just, it's not the George Bush sort of fumbling over his words satire. It's a little deeper than that.
Yeah. No, well, the Trump supporters generally are Benny Hill comedy people.
Right.
You think that's about right? That's pretty much slapstick.
Yeah.
Slapstick. In any event, let's see, May 1st, you've already released 6 stand-up albums, and you've got a new album coming out May 1st as Donald Trump.
Yeah, and that's the one. I mean, I don't know. Obviously, most people have now just heard me be funny as Donald Trump, so I don't always know everybody's stand-up comedy sensibilities. But if you're a big stand-up fan, then some of my later albums will definitely be up your alley. But if you're not, but you like the Trump impression, the album coming out on May 1st is a real sort of masterpiece concept album, where it's just FDR had fireside chats, and this is basically a sort of month by month album called Fireside Craps, if I can use that word, where Trump updates the country through his cell phone while on the toilet about whatever the big issues are. So it's like a 20-track album where you have like all the major beats of like 3 years of his administration, and, you know, just rattling off how great it is and how, and some of it is obviously ironic when you know how things turn out. Some of it is him gloating over the Mueller report and over Bill Barr being named Attorney General. So it's like a humorous, almost real-time history in Trump's words of his presidency. If I guess that's the least complicated way of describing it. But it's I've listened to the whole thing. It's a very slick production. So worth people's time.
We are not only going to get it, we're going to recommend it in various ways. And my Twitter feed sells a lot of products. Most of them have my name on it, but I'm going to go ahead and sell yours because I've been so impressed with what you've done. And now I'm going to open it up briefly to students for their questions, and then we're going to let you go and start pushing the album.
Great.
What do you have for JL?
Or Trump, right? Is it for
Or
is it
Trump,
for either
one
of us?
One or the other. Yes, Tommy, who is? Oh, go ahead, Mr. Stroop. I'm sorry.
Mr. President, I did want to address your Good Friday tweet. Happy Good Friday to all. I know I was raised Catholic. Professor Sabato is Catholic Italian. Are you aware that it's deeply offensive to wish someone a happy Good Friday?
No, and I think that's obviously a fairly nasty question that you're asking, because what it is actually on Good Friday is like, I know there was some bad things that happened on Good Friday. Okay. It wasn't like a great Friday. That's why they only call it a Good Friday, because some bad things happened. If nothing bad happened, it would already be called Great Friday. So because people have the day off, you know, and some people have the day off, I thought it was nice to say Happy Good Friday, because we're going through the coronavirus, and we need a pick-me-up. And it's kind of a double downer when you're like, Jesus died and we're dealing with the coronavirus. So I thought it was kind of me being like kind of a great patriot and a great American president to say, let's not be too sad, because it's like a double sad day. So I threw a happy in there. But I don't like your question, and it was nasty, and I think you're trying to tear us apart as a country.
Don't call on him again, Mr. President. Just don't call on him. That's the way to deal with this. Or put next to somebody who has the virus. That's probably the ultimate revenge right there in the press room. Mr. Stroop?
Chris.
This is actually for JL, so Mr. Trump can actually.
Look at that. Hat off. Just like
so that. First off, you said you were from the Bronx, so I wanted to make sure that you're a Yankees fan, first and foremost.
I am a Yankee fan.
Good, just making sure. And second, you said you were a prosecutor in New York. I'm wondering what inspired you to go into comedy rather than following that arc.
Truth is, I mean, I was an attorney while. Sorry if you hear that. That's my dog, who apparently doesn't like Trump. Sorry, hold one second.
That's okay.
Get her out.
I'm sorry about this. Hamburger. You can't blame the dog.
Okay, so I started doing comedy in law school, and not to get too depressing, but I think a little bit depressed, and I sort of needed a hobby, and I just started like on a whim going to some open mics, and it turned out to be a real good stress release. But I always kind of wanted to be a prosecutor. I mean, I wanted to make tons of money. I had that fantasy. But the economy wasn't great while I was in law school. Part of that reason, I would say, was my first month of law school, 9/11 occurred. So that kind of soured the job market a little bit. But I had always kind of envisioned being a prosecutor, just because you don't see, when you're watching TV shows or movies, it's not like, look at this guy reviewing documents till midnight so that a company can save money during a settlement. Whoa, that's exciting. No, it's always somebody like berating a witness or freeing somebody or like putting a criminal in jail. So that's kind of like the romanticized version. So that was always in my head. I'm not going to act like if I had gotten a big firm offer, I might not have jumped at it, but I didn't. And so I went to do that. And then it was good. But comedy had already started for me, and it was only as I got better and some more opportunities that I started to dedicate more time to it. So I was running on a parallel track that would lead me to be, an underpaid stressed lawyer and an underpaid stressed comedian. So
Well, we're glad you chose the comedian route because we have plenty of lawyers. That's for damn sure. What else? Mr. Stroop?
I'm just looking for hands. If you have a question, raise your hand. Let me ask you while the students are thinking, what has it been like for you, JL, going viral? And what's that like? And where do you think it will go when this thing ends?
It's been very surreal because I've done a lot of stuff over, let's say, sort of the last decade where my career was sort of a serious pursuit for me, and nothing ever broke through fully. I'd have like a good month, or I'd have a YouTube video do pretty well, but nothing where you sort of saturate the like nothing like this even close. And it's been surreal because it felt like in the first 3 or 4 days of this, when like celebrities and politicians are tweeting at you, messaging you, retweeting your stuff, you feel like you're getting 7 years of a career in 3 days. And it was pretty overwhelming. This is sort of where I thought I belonged, as arrogant as that might sound. I've been working hard at this and been good at both stand-up and impressions. So now I feel like I'm where I thought I would be, but it was in hibernation for like 9 years and then exploded during of all times, a global pandemic, which I still think speaks to that I probably shouldn't be doing comedy. If it takes the world shutting down for me to finally break through and be like, that's all I needed, a tyrant running the United States and a global pandemic destroying everything. I knew I just needed one little break like that. So it's kind of crazy. And after this, I'm sort of developing, I'm hoping more people, I can steer people to like listen to my stand-up and watch my other impressions so that I don't become somebody who in 8 months is totally obsolete as an artist or a cultural moment. And I'm working on other stuff. I'm doing a special from my apartment in a few weeks. I turned 41 on Friday, and my last name is Covin, so I'm calling it Covin 41 because it's sort of similar to COVID-19.
But worse.
Right, but worse.
Yeah.
And it's a weird thing because I want to capitalize on this, but obviously most people are still coming to me for Trump. So it's a weird balance, I guess. But I hope that my career can take off and be as diverse as like my total material. Obviously I'll also take short-term money, which is what I'm getting now. That's also cool. But, my goal has always been career, not just to have a good 2020, but to be a headliner in 2030 and still earning money and doing comedy related things.
JL,
yes.
You are very wise to do that. And I don't know how much you're too young to remember Von Meter, but
no, but I'm familiar.
You're familiar with him. Well,
with Lenny Bruce's joke the night JFK was assassinated. I guess there goes Von Meter's career.
And it did. His career never recovered. In fact, he went on a long slide downward, became an alcoholic, eventually wound up in a small town in Maine and died, I guess, of cirrhosis.
Oh, so, well, I feel like I already had my Von Meter moment then. Well, I'm doing it the right way. I started Von Meter and now I'm peaking. I'm past that point.
No, exactly. Well, I was telling you that as a cautionary tale, JL. You want to have a backup act, and you do. So I have.
That's what's so funny is I do have fans. Like, I probably have 400 fans before this happened, and now I have tens of thousands of fans, if not more. But it was. Some of those people are writing to me going, oh, it's so nice, but do people realize this, that, and the other? Because they know that I've been, 6 stand-up albums in 15 years is no slouch, especially when you're not a headliner who's always getting hour-long specials and tons of work. So I've put in the work, and it's like, I'm ready for this moment to be as big as it can be. I just don't know if it'll just be kind of a 2020 blip, like some weird. I've always joked, like when they make the movie about the pandemic, the actor who plays me will probably end up having a bigger career than I'll have. Like it'll be some new comic who gets to play me. And they're like, you were great in that movie, COVID. why don't you become a headliner? And I'm like 80 going, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
As I review documents in a law firm.
Well, we hope that never happens again. But does any student have another question? Anything there? I just want to say, JL, we've been very impressed with your work and have laughed a great deal. And we want to do whatever we can to help you. So don't hesitate to ask us.
Great, thank you.
I don't know exactly how an academic can help you, but we can use you at events, and we will. And look, we're talking hundreds of dollars here.
Yeah, well, that's, you know what, my career has been based on entertaining tens of people for dozens of dollars. So hundreds is now, I mean, I feel like Scrooge McDuck from DuckTales, you know, swimming in gold coins.
Yeah. Right.
JL and I were chatting a little bit, trying to set this thing up a little earlier. And I thought JL had a good suggestion that we might mention to Governor McAuliffe.
Yeah, serious. And it was kind of, I mean, it's funny, but it's also serious, which is either on the money side, some sort of fundraiser, but on the other side, since I'm not an academic or political slouch, I would love to do debate prep with Joe Biden. And I don't even mean that as a joke. Like, I legitimately would do that, and I would do it free.
Ken, you know how to follow up. No, I'm serious.
Yeah, I think, it was a joke, but I think you could imagine how this would be really effective.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. No, you know who to call. There's no harm in floating it. I think it's a great idea. And also, depending on what they decide with this virtual convention, they need some entertainment. And believe me, Joe Biden, for all of his virtues, is not very entertaining. So they're going to need some yucks, and this would be a great opportunity. Anyway, we'll take this off camera and discuss that with you. But one thing I think is very important, and you need to point this out to critics. It's not just Trump, it's the pandemic, it's the economic collapse. If you aren't laughing, you're going to be crying. And so it's really important to laugh and to find the funny side of life if you can. Life of Brian. It's really important that you do that. All of us need to do that in order to stay sane. JL, this is definitely not our last encounter here. We're going to help you in whatever ways we can and push you in your work, because I think you're terrific. You have a Trump voice that is 100 times better than Alec Baldwin. I mean that. He should be your opening act.
I agree,
that's
but
what Alec Baldwin should be.
But once again, I reiterate, I'm not here to take any job from a hardworking, struggling young actor. We just have to kind of be happy for everybody's success.
Yeah, exactly. Just don't call your daughter and leave on a voicemail that she's a pig. That would not be good for your career. That was Alec Baldwin, in case.
Although it seemed good for his. He got the Trump gig despite that.
Yeah, no, he did. He did. But they're sloppy at SNL. They're sloppy. It's so obvious.
We are scrolling through some of this as JL has been speaking, but we just want to make sure that that folks are aware. His website is JLCauvin, JLCauvin.com.
Or JLComedy.com also works, because for years I thought, I have to brand my name so people remember it, and then nobody remembered it. So I just was like, can I also have JLComedy.com? Because I think people can spell comedy.
That's good.
You can also find him on Twitter at JLCauvin.
And there's a new Trump press conference video that I put up a couple hours before this that was going spreading very quickly, where Trump says he does not know who hydrochloroquine is, and he wondered if that was a black woman that was friends with Mother Nature. It's a very weird video, but trust me, people are enjoying it immensely.
Yeah, no, actually, I can hear Trump saying that.
So he'll be denying it at some point. He'll be denying that he ever even spoke of the drug.
Yes, no, exactly. A friend. Some people said, right? That's what he always says. Some people are saying that.
As you know, and here's a tell.
Good. I don't know.
A tell for the class, as somebody who has, I guess, studied him in a weird way. Whenever he says, "as you know," it's a lie. And he always asks somebody who can't retort, no, I don't know that. So he points at reporters and go, well, as you know, I'm a tremendous lover, as you know. And then he moves on to the next person, and that's it. And like, he's just put out there, like, he's just corroborating information that you allegedly already know. It's one of his, I'll give this, it's a technique that doesn't work with real people, because real people can like answer you back and say you're full of S. But with Trump, he has the microphone, so he can just say, as you know, I'm the greatest president of all time. Anyway, next question.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. To be fair, other presidents have had that too. Richard Nixon, you knew he was lying. Well, eventually after Watergate, we said we knew he was lying when his lips moved. But
Right.
before it became obvious, whenever he said, let me make one thing perfectly clear, whatever came next was a lie. So we do learn about presidents over time and learn how to interpret them. JL, this was a lot of fun. This actually,
thank you.
This is concluding our semester, this weird semester when all of these poor students are on Zoom instead of being here at their university enjoying not just classes, but probably a lot of other things that they can't have.
Yeah.
So it's a great way to end. It's a happy way to end. As I said, you're laughing, you're not crying.
Right.
And JL will be with you and we'll help you in whatever ways we can. Mr. Stroop, I know we have to talk to the students about a few things, but what else do we need to do?
Yeah. Well, JL, we just want to thank you. And
thank you. This was a lot of fun. Thank you, class. Sorry that your semester is super depressing in quarantine.
No, it could be worse. All things considered, I could have people I don't like here.
That's true.
So in any event, we want to help you in whatever ways we can, and we thank you for taking this time to make our last class a lot lighter than it would have been otherwise.
Well, thank you for the idea. I appreciate it. So thank you.
We'll see you soon.
Good luck. Thanks, guys.
Thanks a lot. Everybody appreciated it.